back to episode rewind where we talk about the Blacklist. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And tonight we're going to be talking about episode 7, Zal Bin Hasaan.
And she pronounced it, well, we're both having trouble pronouncing it.
Zal
I couldn't
Bin
even come
Hasaan.
close to it, though.
So here's how we're going to do things. We're going to give you our overall impression of the episode, positives, negatives, and give you theories for the next coming up episode.
Yep.
So tonight's episode essentially is like the Samar Navabi. I can't talk today. The Samar Navabi.
I could never pronounce her name or so many other names on this show.
I think I can't say the two together, so it's going to be Samar or Navabi, but not both together. But anyway, it's a kind of her backstory. You finally get a glimpse into what her life was before she joined the FBI. What was your impression on tonight's episode?
I like the backstory. I like how she was in charge of, protecting her brother, and it really built up the relationship between her and her brother.
Yeah.
So when they revealed that he's still alive, you knew it was going to be this really big, epic moment in her life. And one of the scenes that I loved was one of her reactions that we'll get into in a moment.
In a little bit. Mm-hmm.
But just heart-wrenching.
Hits you right here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that tonight. Yes, they focused on Reddington, and yes, they focused on Liz and trying to exonerate her and all that stuff. And we even got a little bit of glimpse into Tom and where he is with Karakurt. But I like that the main focus was Navabi and kind of the relationship between her and Ressler and Aram as partners, as co-workers and colleagues, because you see it, but you realize in this episode really how close they are and how much are willing to sacrifice for each other.
Yeah, and also her other relationships, where she used to work, and some of the I can't remember the guy's name who led it, but the relationship with him.
I feel like his name is Levi or something, but I can be totally wrong.
The guy from The Mummy. So, but I liked it because it was really cool that it grew around one of the side characters, but yet it still pushed the main storyline forward.
Yeah.
So it didn't, because sometimes you get those side episodes that focus on another character, but yet and you feel it just kind of be sluggish. This one still had a good pace to it, even though I think it was a little predictable.
It's a little predictable, but I think with a side story, kind of like you said with the side character, yes, she's a side character, but she's a strong character. She has been from day one. Any line, and just even as an actor, her performances have been just solid from the get-go. The second that she was introduced, everybody, well, at least I'm speaking, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I think I can speak for the both of us. We really, really like her, and I am so happy for this, Navabi episode.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and you wanted to add something? I was going to go into the positives.
It's the fact that there's also so many times that you're introduced to her as a badass.
Yeah.
But then you kind of forget about it because she keeps on, the storyline of Blacklist moves forward, focusing on Elizabeth and Red, and then she does a lot of smart things, but then every now and again, you get these little glimpses of how much of a badass she is.
Yeah, and she's just tough. She just handles business, and in her mind, her decisions are never muddled. She'll make a decision and she knows that she's gonna have to live with it, and she makes it, and it's just so hardcore. And I love that because you see with Ressler, he struggles with sometimes the decisions he makes, and he kind of goes back and forth, and we see that with Elizabeth. Not so much with Reddington, and I think definitely not with Navabi. So you want to go ahead and move forward the positives?
Some of the positives?
What
were some of the things that you found that were really stood out? Because I know you have notes.
I do. I have to take notes.
She's the smart one. She's sitting there taking notes, and I'm just I'm just going to enjoy the show.
I don't know if it's smart, but if I don't do it, I am gonna not remember. So aside from taking a look into her past, I really like seeing her side of when she, well, jumping ahead here, but kind of met up with her old Mossad colleagues, how familiar it felt to her. And she looked at home. Not saying she didn't feel comfortable at the FBI, but you could see she just embraced it, even though it was a dire situation. She was like, this is my home, and these are my friends. And she looked really happy, there for a little bit. I also moving away from Navabi. I loved the opening scene with Tom and Harold. There was various comedy moments tonight. And when that was funny.
Tom just walks in. Yeah, I got him. He's
Bloody
in the trunk.
Shirt.
Bloody shirt. What are you doing here? And he's like, yeah, he's in the trunk. Get him in the garage. And Tom's just like, hey, I'm a badass.
Like, yeah,
check it out.
I think he was still kind of on the high, and he's still like punch drunk happy kind of. But I like where Charlene is like, Harold, coffee? I'll get a cup. I'll take a cup too. It's so funny, and I really like that we kind of got a glimpse into kind of Harold's home life, even just a little bit, and how his wife kind of has to deal with this crap. Like, not only she had to find out that her husband wasn't actually dying from being sick.
Oh my gosh.
He was threatened by the Cabal, and and now like there's the Russian spy that's in
half dead
agent
beaten.
Yeah, with it's crazy. I kind of felt bad for the lady, but she held her own, and he married a tough lady.
Oh yeah, she's definitely a tough lady.
Yeah. I quite like Ressler in this episode.
He is becoming more
That's
and more
a surprising thing.
less and less of a Boy Scout.
Yeah, and I have that right here. I say, where is it? He's slowly breaking the Boy Scout mode.
And I like it the fact that they're doing it slowly throughout each episode. Mm-hmm. It's not like all of a sudden, oh, that's it, screw this with the rules. They're slowly chipping away at that character that we found so annoying. Mm-hmm. But then he just, it's starting to make more and more sense that he would become the character that you kind of see him becoming. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing, though. Do you see him kind of, sooner or later, be completely dropping that Boy Scout / Captain America kind of persona? Or do you think there's always going to be a hint of that in there?
I think there's always going to be a hint of that because that is who Ressler is. It's a part of him. Mm-hmm. That it's always going to be there, but I think he's going to know when to take a shortcut here and there if it's going to... His motive will still be the same. His motive will always still be good, and he's never going to work for the bad guys. He's always going to work for the FBI, and the reason he's kind of breaking these laws is because it helped out Navabi and because it helps out Lizzie, and... I just don't see him giving up that Boy Scout so easily. I think it's been in him for too long.
And I just realized something. Huh. I think one of the things that makes him seem so Boy Scout is the fact that he does not know how to play politics or how to play spy. He comes right out and goes up to the Cabal member that he's working with.
Solomon?
No, not Solomon.
Peter, the director?
The director. And he's like, I know you're part of it. I'm like... Don't tell him
he's that. He's just so angry. Yeah, he doesn't really know how to communicate effectively when he's angry.
Well, and also how to play spy.
He instead kicks a gnome.
And I'm surprised that Harold didn't say something like, oh, come on.
He kind of said it before, I have to live here. It's like Dad breaking up like the two boys.
And that's exactly what they are. Because in a sense, when Tom and him were fighting, it's because they both like Elizabeth.
One was married to her. Mm-hmm. The other one just really wants her. So, and I mean, they're both after the same reason, but Tom's got this antic, and plus he was like this agent, that was put in place in her life, and he really hurt her. So I get where Ressler's coming from, but it's kind of cute. It's like who's there's like a battle of testosterones when you put the two of them together. Like there's gonna be a bigger showdown. Bigger? Yeah, when they were brawling on the sidewalk in front of Cooper's house, I actually saw Ressler like shoulder check him and just like football shoulder. I don't know what you call that.
Oh yeah, because he slammed him right against the truck.
No, but he like picked him up. He actually picked him up, and I was like, "Well, come on, Tom, aren't you supposed to be this like kick-ass agent, and you're letting Boy Scout here?
You're letting Captain America here beat you up? Come on!" And both of us were even like, "Come on, Tom, kick his ass."
Coming back to Ressler and him starting to kind of skew his Boy Scout ways a little bit. His scene with Solomon at the restaurant, where he searched him and he found the gun, and he was like, "I'm gonna need to see your permit." And he hands it to him, and he just drops in his soup. Oh, those numbers are a little skewed. You're going to have to come in. Like, he was ready to go at any... And the thing is that he was so quick on his feet, and I really didn't expect that from him. I expected him to see the permit and go, fine, we'll let you go. And kind of pout and fume internally, but he didn't. He brought him in because he knew he wanted Peter out of the FBI. And he was successful. So
it stinks,
I have to applaud him for
that got Peter out of the FBI. It wasn't the fact that he was able to make the connection between him and Solomon.
No.
But it was the fact that it was, oh, you didn't share intel.
Right, yeah.
And
on
you
a technical thing.
Yeah, and you made that, like, oh, I wonder if she's Cabal.
I wonder because she so Peter had Solomon swallow that hook thing. Ugh. Oh my God. And she let it happen. So it made me think, it doesn't matter. It may be like, okay, they're getting way too close to finding out these two are connected and they're Cabal, that if I just let Peter go through with this, we take him out on a technical thing. The thing she said in the beginning, hey, you know, you don't have to like each other, but you work together. So when Ressler presented to her and he didn't share intel, I had to tap into his calls because he was hiding from us. Now they're out, so now that connection that they almost got to of who is in the Cabal.
So you think that she didn't really take him out because of that?
I think that was the plan. I mean, I could be totally wrong. It's a theory, but I love theories, and that's why I love this show.
Especially with this show.
Yeah, there's so many. That's all it is and you guys,
this could happen. This could happen. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. And in the comments, you guys, every week in the comments, you have the best theories, and then we love reading all of them. So keep those coming. You can tweet us too. We'll tell you how to do that later in the show. And then we're getting to the part where you and I really. Okay.
Was there anything else that you really, really liked?
I'll touch on this, but we're going to have to come back to this later. How much Aram cared for
my gosh, that was
Navabi.
So cute.
It really showed. I love that they did all that they could and really spread their resources out so they could help Navabi. But, you know, even though bringing Elizabeth in was their primary, and they had intel for that, but like Ressler gave that up for Navabi, which I think is great. But the best part of the show is the takedown at the ship.
Yes.
Red always has a plan. Obviously, he didn't realize that Navabi's brother was still alive.
Until like 2 seconds before all the shit went down.
So, being Red, was able to somehow get to the secret location that nobody else seems to be able to find. And it wasn't just like a brutal takedown. It was just like, it was stealthy.
It was like, everything's fine, everything's fine, bam, taken out. And then it was just slick, it was perfect.
It was clean, yeah. And
clean.
They killed everybody, and then Dembe popping up on the boat with his gun, and he's had shades on this time. I was like, yeah, Dembe. Like, every single episode, I need that Dembe shot of him doing something awesome like that.
And then that one
I don't
time
think it's very hard for him.
In the hotel, where that guy came out of the shower with the razor blade.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously, you think you can attack Dembe with a razor blade?
No.
And in 2 seconds, bam, bam, he's down.
Yeah, it was.
And you're just like, yeah, Dembe.
It was great. I loved it.
Takedown.
Like
right
this
after
the
the
most, so you
takedown.
say it.
Oh, the way she reacted to saying that, no, I swore to protect my brother. Red, he is yours. Or what's her, the way I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry.
Hassan. We'll just call him that.
Hassan.
It's a different name, but he goes by Hassan because that's now his identity.
The direction on that, and then the execution from the actor. Oh my gosh, it was beautifully done.
It's that sacrifice and this is what I was talking about earlier with the decision she knows she has to make. So she had a choice of turning her brother into the FBI, where, you know, and Red said it, that he was going to starve himself to death. He won't give him any information, and eventually he's just going to die in a hole somewhere and have no purpose to his death after all of this, after all the people he brutally killed. Or she can voluntarily give him to Red, and he will die. The end game is that he's still going to die, but there's a bigger purpose, and he said the purpose was, we can exonerate Liz. But you know what's pathetic about him too, the brother? He looked to her. He was gonna kill her, and he's like, you swore to protect me. I was like, you coward. You were killing all these people, and you were treating your sister like crap. And then when your life is on the line, you're about to die, you can't be like, shoot me. Save me, sister. And I was like, no, come on. He deserved what he got. But in her mind, she said her brother died in that bombing. And she said to Red before she turns away, and it got us both right here. He's all yours. Oh. The most powerful delivery ever, and she's just phenomenal. I can't praise her enough.
She's an incredible actress.
Yeah, it was great. So with that being the last thing in the positives, let's go ahead and move on to the negatives.
So, like we said before, this episode was a little predictable.
Yes.
Up to the right when they raided where all of the hostages were, and they were like, "Oh, there are other prisoners." I'm like, even before we found out
that her brother was one of them.
Yeah. I was like, I bet you anything that's what they did. They made it look like they escaped somewhere else, but then they were just like, no, let's pretend that we were a prisoner. I'm like, he's one of them.
Yeah.
And then the brother was like, he's him. That's him.
Very, very easy. Yeah, it was so easy to tell that it was going to be her brother. For a second, I tried to believe that this show was so smart that it wouldn't do that, but it did. And I understand why, so I'm not going to knock it for it. I'm not going to knock the writers or anything like that, because I think the good parts of this episode outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
I prefer for it to not be as predictable, but I get it.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought, okay, there's two things. Either her brother is actually him, or one of the other guys is, and he's just with them.
Yeah. But
then once, the whole raid happened, you're like, oh, okay.
Another thing, when they were first, because they took hostage of the 6 contractors, and that's how the whole thing kind of kickstarted. The way they do this in almost every like spy genre type cop TV show, like CSI especially does it. When you zoom in on the glasses, crispy clear image of the guy's glasses reflecting off. You can
who's in the middle of moving.
And you can see you can see the shapes of a building. I'll give you that. You can see the outlines of a power plant chimney. I'll give you that. You can see the letters. Come on.
I remember seeing a special. There were actual investigators that were going, we can't do that.
Yeah,
we can't even come close to that.
But that's television. Another thing was, and this was Solomon, when he found out what restaurant Elizabeth or Tom was always waiting for Elizabeth at, that Chinese restaurant. So he went in and he somehow knew the waiter or the waitress that always talked to Tom, which I was like, okay, that's possible if you like staked out and you saw him there and stuff like that. But the phrase he used to get her to give up the number was not only creepily like put her hair,
my God,
like it's so creepy.
right.
Like if you're a waitress and some man's coming up to you like touching you and like complimenting you, but he does it in a creepy way, and like, no thanks, I don't have the number, go away, I'm calling the cops. But he uses she says, I never met Elizabeth King. Who are you? Do you know them? Is she in trouble? And he's like, her uncle has recently passed and left her a substantial amount of money. I was like, how many guys out there gotten those spam emails that says the same, not saying your uncle died or like my uncle died, but like
someone
so and so, whatever, and your name, it's like, you're like trolling, spamming her right there, and she just gave it to you.
And she actually carries around the number every single day.
Maybe she's got a crush on Tom or something. I mean, I guess who wouldn't? But...
Or she finds the whole thing romantic.
My last negative, it might be yours too, the Ressler Navabi love scene.
Where did that come from?
I mean, what about? All I'm thinking is, what about Ram? What about him?
He's gonna be crushed if he finds out, and he's gonna be pissed.
Ugh.
He's gonna be pissed at.
He's gonna be mad at Ressler, and he'll give her like the silent treatment.
Yeah.
Like I can totally see Ram doing that. I just don't. And like the line she said that led up to it is just, what matters is right here, right now, or this, what we have, or something like that. Like being in the present instead of living in the past, or like trying to look forward to what's in the future, because being an agent, obviously, you die, your past. I feel like she realizes that her entire past, like losing her brother, was a complete lie. And she said it took her years to mourn that. And now she has to do it all over again. But I think last time she probably just felt sad because it was an unfortunate thing, like a bombing that happened.
Yeah.
When she thought she thought that he was at a student protest. It's like now she's sad that she lost her brother for the second time.
And found out that he's a complete monster.
He's a killer. So I feel so bad, and I guess I can see her maybe needing that physical.
Yeah, I can see it for her being that in the spur of the moment. I need this. Yeah. But
I mean, I know she's hot, but come on, Ressler. Like, you never even shown interest in her before, and now like she.
Now you're all over that.
It's that tank top. She wears it well. She wears it very well.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I mean, I can see definitely in the future, maybe a Rum not even wanting to work with them. It's gonna break the way they work.
I'm wondering if this is gonna cause a big problem later on.
If they find out.
If he finds out, Aram might get so bitter and so mad that he will do something that almost aids the Cabal.
Or just with Red.
Or just with
Red. I don't think he'll go as far as the Cabal, but I think with just Red, he'll kind of go behind Ressler's
the dark side.
Back. Possibly. And then, or the other theory is they can do that typical like rom-com sort of a thing. Come into work, they can't even look each other in the eye, and like you accidentally like reach for that same piece of paper and you go, oh,
sorry.
I think that's what might happen. Okay, so let's see. Next week, I am trying to think what I want to see next week.
And this is weird because every other week we've kind of had an idea of where they're going.
Right.
With the way this is, because you had no idea exactly who Red was giving him up to. Did you? I don't know.
Well,
maybe I missed
he
that.
exchanged the brother
for
a meeting with someone.
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously, it could be the next episode, but I feel like they're going to kind of skip 2 episodes and then he's going to have his meeting. I mean, I'd rather find out next week just because I want to know. But yeah, this episode really didn't give you much to look forward to. For like, it's hard for me to make a prediction of what's going to happen next week, like with Elizabeth. I know that maybe they're a little bit closer to maybe exonerating her because now it looks like Karakurt was turned in.
Yeah, but no. He said that they were going to turn him in, and Red said, no, I've got a better idea.
Oh, that's right. So
we don't know what's going on with that.
Now it's going to be back to Red's episode. We don't know what's going on with the meeting. We don't really know what's going on with any of the Cabal members. Well,
it's kind of left you very much okay. It seemed like this would be a very good wrap-up for a lot of things.
Well, I mean, next week, in 2 weeks, it's Thanksgiving, so maybe they're getting ready to wrap that up because this show is on Thanksgiving. It's on Thursdays. So I think they are getting ready for that. You know what they're going to do? I think next week there's going to be some sort of major cliffhanger, and they're going to make us wait after Thanksgiving, come back the first week of December, and then give us that. Smart.
Damn you, Blacklist.
Keeps you coming back. But yeah, I am happy that the director is that the Cabal is not having, or Peter at least, not working with the FBI so closely. I never liked him there, but I am really, really wanting to know if my theory is true about that woman, and I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah. The blonde
one.
Older woman that was watching the interrogation.
Mm-hmm. But I guess we'll find out in a matter of a week or 2.
And also, you know what? If this does wrap up very nicely at the end of this season, they're going to need kind of a new baddie.
Alright guys, so let us know your theory in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, you can find me on social media just at Wendy Lee Zaney. I am on Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on Facebook if you want to. Dustin, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Dustin Zaney, and at Facebook, Facebook is Dustin Zaney. Everything else is Swing Kid 1981.
Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.